guys. So this is my alpha build. I have gotten quite a few requests to go over this in depth, so I figured I'd address that today. So this guy started its life as an Arsenal 107 SLR 107 CR. It's undergone quite a few changes. There have been quite a few modifications to the rifle, and I'll go over that in depth with the parts overview. But I will say I've got close to 12,000 rounds through this guy. I trust it. I know what I can do with it, and I'm very confident. And I think that's the most important part to shooting a rifle. So we're going to start with how it does in terms of shooting. Then we're going to go into the parts list and then overall thoughts past that. All right? Stay tuned.
So if you're curious on accuracy on this rifle, I did group this up against the Palmetto GF5 on last week's video, but the general gist is it's between a 2.5 and 4.5 MOA gun, depending on ammunition. A big part of that is due to the fact that I have about 12,000 rounds through this rifle, and accuracy degradation starts to be a thing past about 10,000 rounds. Remember it being about a 3 MOA rifle to start with.
Fail drill from low ready. 214. One more. Actually, let's check the target real quick. A little slower than I'd like to be, but all A zones. Let's try one more. It's a little better, 186. All A zones again. All right, so next we're gonna do 2 on each and then 1 on the steel. If you'll notice, that guy on the right's probably Russian because he's drunk. Let's give it a shot. He's slouching. .472. Not my fastest, but I'll take it. Let's go check the hits. Oh, AC. All A's on that one. And 2 A's, I'm gonna count that as on the line. And next one, we're gonna have to do a reload at 2 rounds, but let's go ahead and give this guy a shot. All right, 816 with a reload. All right, let's do this. Let's just do. Oh shit.
So all in all, this gun handles incredibly well. It has very low recoil, it's easy to manipulate and shoot fairly quick, it's acceptably accurate and decent to make fairly fast follow-up shots. So now I'll be going over all the parts on this rifle, what I put on there, what I kept the same, all the modifications I've done to make it the rifle it is today.
So let's start with the muzzle device. So instead of having it chopped down to the 12 5-inch barrel and SBRing it, I chose to chop it down to 14.5 and have a gunsmith pin and weld this JMac 4-prong flash hider on here. This is a double whammy, so it guarantees that threads are concentric because not all AK's threads are concentric. So I'm able to use a much wider variety of cans, as well as it keeps me from having to Form 1 this gun and make it into a short barreled rifle. So double whammy why I did that. I find it very practical. It's a great GPR length. Even 12.5 would have been great, but didn't want the feds to get an extra $200 with this gun. So as you can see, I can mount this suppressor on. Incredibly easy if I want, very quick. But if I want to go light and handy, I still have a nice flash hider here. Moving back, I chose to go with the Zenitco Sport 1 kit. This is the lightest handguard, full-length handguard available from Zenitco. It features the basis rail system you can see here. It's kind of like M-LOK, but in my opinion better. Specific to Zenitco, specific to Russia. But what's cool about it is the nut is actually tapered, and tapered screws and nuts hold better. And then the locking bar is actually adjustable from the outside with a small screw head driver. So much handier, much more user-friendly. Seems to hold up incredibly well as well. So I really like that. The downside is it's kind of proprietary and you can't really get much from Russia anymore. So you can get these, if you get it, you can get these little Picatinny slots, and that'll allow you to attach anything you need to that's more Americanized. So next on the parts list, I'm using a Zenitco RK6 hand stop. I like this quite a bit because I don't grip the vert grips like this anyways. I grip them like this. The front has a nice long section for you to be able to, if you need to move off the rifle a little bit, you still have some control there. But nice part is, see how far back it is. It doesn't get in the way of my reloads at all. So definitely a good option there. Now with AKs, you can always just take a Magpul grip and kind of saw it down if you want. So past that, I have a Steiner Otel. I'm using this for night vision aiming, and I have it paired with a Surefire Vampire. This is a pretty decent combination. The Vampire kind of leaves something to be desired, but I don't want to overweigh this gun. It's kind of heavy as is, and I'm trying to reduce weight where I can. So I found this pairing is useful in 99% of the situations I need it in, and it doesn't add a ton of weight. If you've watched my passive night vision aiming video, you'll know that I do prefer shooting passively. However, when I get back to the optic, I'll kind of explain why this guy has a laser as well. So I do have these paired with a Unity hot button, or Unity dual lead, ignore me. This Unity dual lead is actually really freaking awesome. What I like about it is it requires downward pressure and it's recessed. So it's very hard to actually AD this guy. You have to consciously reach up and press your thumb in. You see how I have it positioned? I like my light switches to be behind my firing grip. I find I can rotate my hand, swivel my hand back and press it, but it takes a conscious motion to do that. Again, reducing your chances of NDs. NDs are kind of terrible. Next up, I have the RP1 charging handle here. One thing I love about this charging handle is it does give you extra purchase. I don't find it to be as big of a deal as a lot of guys say it is. I don't mind the standard hook. However, this does give you just a little more to grab onto. So it's kind of nice to have there. So you'll see I have the Zenitco B33 dust cover. This guy holds 0 incredibly well. It has 4 points of attachment. It attaches to the back. It actually has a locking block here that attaches it there, and then it also attaches to 2 points on your handguard. I found this to be incredibly durable. I've held 0. I'm able to consistently hit out to 400 yards using this combination. So no complaints there, plus the vibes. So next up is my optics combination. So these two work in symbiosis. So this is a Holosun EPS, which I have found to be excellent under night vision, has very little distortion. I really enjoy this red dot. I've also banged it around quite a bit on multiple rifles. It's held up just fine. So this one's a 10 out of 10 for me. Past that, I have the Trijicon TA50. So It is a 7.62 by 39 reticle, which is really neat. It's got a ballistic reticle as well as range finding capabilities in the scope. So really handy force multiplier here. The downside to this scope is that it is kind of lacking in field of view. You got about 26 feet at 100 yards, which is pretty narrow, which is why I said initially symbiosis. So you're using the red dot for everything up close as well as finding targets at range. When you need the magnification, you drop down. It is the fastest way I've found, which if you have a faster way, let me know. But to switch between 1 power and magnification, and it affords you both reticles at use without any need to manipulate any mechanics on the gun. So I really like this. Why I chose the TA50 instead of a TA31 is because of weight and height over bore considerations. So you can see this guy is pretty tiny, weighs less than 10 ounces, and it doesn't raise as high up as a TA31. The TA31 in every other way is a better scope, but weight and height over bore on AKs is kind of something to be concerned about. And any issues I have, anything lacking, I'm able to make up to compensate for with the red dot. So it's kind of a perfect symbiosis to me. So inside of this guy, I have a K&S adjustable gas piston system. I really enjoy that. I have, God, I want to say 4,000, 5,000 rounds through the rifle since I've installed that, and it's held up really well. Another thing is it has tuned the gas down to where this thing is incredibly soft shooting. So can't recommend that highly enough. You can really tune your rifle. If you're suppressing, you can really choke that gas down, which is fantastic. It's definitely one of the better routes to go in terms of suppressing AKs. So past that, inside, I am running a Smokies leather dust cover gasket. If you've shot AK suppressed, you'll find that they are more gassy than you would assume. So what's happening is all that gas is escaping out of where this recoil spring retainer is, and that goes right into your eye. So the gasket actually seals that off, which is freaking awesome, because now this is the least gassy gun I own, and it was one of the most. So lastly, I am using a K2 grip. I really enjoy that quite a bit. And so long as you're not noticing your grip, it's a good grip. If it's uncomfortable, it's like, eh. Everything else is preference. All right, so now let's get into the things I didn't change on this rifle that most people do. First is the safety. Now there's some high-speed dudes that run the enhanced safeties, and I have mad respect for them. Just my personal preference, I like the standard safeties, and let me tell you the reason why. I ran a Krebs safety for a very brief amount of time. What I found was to compensate for the lack of leverage you have with the safety being back here, you had to loosen the tension on the safety. To a degree I'm not particularly comfortable with. I actually had mine disengage several times when I was out farting around doing drills and stuff on accident. So I like a little more tension on my safety. I don't find it super difficult to use. It doesn't really hurt my times that much to use it that way. And it doesn't accidentally disengage by brushing up against stuff. So that's why I chose to keep the standard. One person, I'm sure someone's going to say, hey, why don't you just use the standard with the Krebs? Use more tension, and if you don't have it, use the front. Well, I did that, and what I found was the little ledge here got in the way of me reaching up and flicking the further ledge down. So I just discarded that. I gave it to a friend, and I didn't change the trigger. I found this one to work incredibly well. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's not quite as quick as the ALG triggers, but one thing I've been noticing with a lot of my buddies who have ALG triggers is it is made out of a harder metal, and oftentimes harder than your bolt carrier group. And so you get more of that tail deformation that a lot of people complain about when you run it, as well as I find a well broken in AK safety to be incredibly good. I'm able to shoot this pretty fast. I'm able to shoot it pretty far. It's rugged. It doesn't increase wear on my parts. So I just kept the standard trigger instead of upgrading to the ALG. And lastly, the stock. So I didn't change it out. Well, I have changed it out, but I changed it back from a M4 buffer tube adapter. Now, the reason I chose to stick with this is my eye relief with the ACOG is kind of limited, so the short length of pull does not hurt me that much, and I'm very comfortable with it. Past that is the M4 stock adapters don't allow you to fold, and if you don't like folding your guns or you don't think it's important, you've probably never done work out of a vehicle, so I just want you to think about that. All right, guys, so that's about all I have for you today. I built out this AK to fit my needs, and I feel like this is a well-balanced rifle that has really maximized my effectiveness with the gun. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to go outside, touch grass, and eat ass. All right, guys?